Hello, everybody. There are places in the world where time doesn't just stand still, it echoes. Echoes of the past reverberating through the walls and the air, wrapping themselves around you until you're really caught in the current of something that's much bigger than really the sum of its parts. The Beatles Ashram in Rishikesh is one of those places. You can almost hear the reverberations of the White Album wafting through the air, pretty humid air. But the building that they lived is actually right behind me here in Rishikesh. And the story is as old as rock and roll itself, but it still strikes a chord. In the spring of 1968, the Fab Four, of course, George, Paul, John, and Ringo, stepped off their psychedelic tour of fame and into the world, really what is a completely different world than the London that they knew. They were searching for something, maybe peace, meaning, spiritual awakening, or maybe just taking a break from the whirlwind of being the Beatles. And they found it in the quiet sanctuary of the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi Ashram that's nestled here on the banks of the Ganges River, which is just down the cliff there. And like every good rock story, things went sideways in the best way possible. While the music was always part of the plan, the connection with the Maharishi wasn't the main takeaway, at least not in the way the media expected. The four lads from Liverpool weren't here just for a guru or transcendental meditation. While they were here, they also began to create. And, they were touring the world, producing numerous albums. Their manager, Brian Epstein, just died a few months earlier. So they arrived as men in need really of a break. But they left as architects of some of the most influential music of the 20th century. What remains today of the ashram is really a surreal landscape of crumbling stone walls, bright graffiti through many of the buildings that are here, and also really the ghosts of genius. There's something haunting, really, though, about walking through the grounds now. The meditative silence of this place is here. There's also a low murmur of the river nearby. It feels like the air still vibrates with the energy of those who once walked here in search of answers. The ruins are really as much of a testament to the passage of time as they are to the creativity that was birthed here. They're almost 70 years old, some of these buildings, and very dilapidated. However, it is currently in a state of rebirth. You might hear some of the construction around me. It's in a state of restoration. And the real magic of the ashram, though, lies not in its history as a spiritual retreat, but really in the way it became a crucible for artistic transformation. It was right here, as I said, in this building. We have pictures of the Beatles sitting on the steps over there, where they're sitting with their guitars, composing some of the greatest songs. In fact, the time at the ashram became their most productive period, with the majority of the songs ending up on the White Album, as well as Abbey Road. Most of all those songs were written right here on these grounds. So songs like Back in the USSR, Dear Prudence, which is actually written about Mia Farrow's sister, and Blackbird, all began to take their shape right here. The isolation, the quiet, it really gave them time to reflect. And all of it seeped into the music that they began creating. The Maharishi may have taught them about transcendental meditation, but it was in the deep solitude of Rishikesh that they really began to find their clarity. They took the spiritual teachings, they blended them into their songs, blended them into their own, I guess you could say, even inner chaos, and out came something beautifully new. And all across the universe, John Lennon even incorporated the mantra that he learned here into the song. So, Jai Guru Deva Om, that he sings multiple times, is the mantra from here. So, stepping into the ashram today, it's hard not to feel the same sense of possibility. Of course, the walls, I said, are crumbling, covered with murals, graffiti. Some of them are Beatles related, but much of it is also an ode to many of the thousands of visitors who've passed through, scribbling their names on the wall. The buildings, as I said, they are pretty dilapidated. You can see some of them in the road here. It is not a working ashram anymore, but the explosion of creativity that happened here really shifted music. As I find myself today in the very same buildings and place where the Beatles once slept, sat, and perhaps even struggled with some of their doubts that plagued their musical genius, I can almost hear the echoes of maybe some of the conversations that were going on in their mind. Like, what's the point of all this fame? Maybe why does it feel like we're chasing something elusive? And their manager just died, so maybe where do we go from here? What Rishikesh gave them wasn't just peace of mind. It really gave them the reason to move forward. It allowed them to get quiet, to think, to tap into something that existed beyond the noise, the noise of this world. In a way, it gave them a second chance. And perhaps that's the beauty of this place. And so I find myself really meditating and contemplating and thinking about how this little patch of land in the foothills of the Himalayas really became one of the most iconic places in rock history. The Beatles may have left years ago, but the spirit of creativity and the spirit of reinvention is really still alive here. In the same way, their music transcended its time. So too has the ashram become a symbol really of something much larger than itself. An enduring testament to the power of artistic exploration, of seeking, of searching, and meaning beyond the superficial. The Beatles really left Rishikesh with new songs and a new direction. And, I leave with a sense of awe. There's something about being in this place where the pulse of creativity is so palpable that it almost seems to breathe with you. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest legacy that this place can ever give. So blessings to you all. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. And I really hope that each and every one of your days is filled with an abundance of love, health, happiness, and peace. Namaste.